Are you ready to step into the land of the forbidden, right in the heart of Central America? Welcome to El Salvador, a country where the capital's map was once secretly rotated for good feng shui. Women on Manguera Island must sneak to the mainland to give birth. Men spray on cologne 3 times just to buy eggs. And the government declared Bitcoin as legal currency, even though people still pay for everything with crumpled dollar bills. So which taboo would give you the biggest chills? Let's dive in right now. Number 15. El Salvador's map was once altered for feng shui. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it really happened. In 2006, as El Salvador was planning a national urban development strategy, something odd quietly stirred up the local expert community. The government invited a group of Chinese feng shui consultants to advise on regional development. According to many unofficial but oft-repeated accounts at local planning conferences, these Asian feng shui experts suggested rotating the energy axis of San Salvador, the capital city, toward the southeast to attract economic luck, dispel the gloom of war, and open up new trade opportunities. And yes, people actually believed it. When news of this plan leaked, Salvadoran media initially called it superstition in policy, and the government quickly denied any redrawing of the map for metaphysical reasons. Still, suspicions remained, especially when, a year later, the new Central Development Plan for San Salvador just happened to align almost exactly with those previously dismissed feng shui recommendations. New administrative districts subtly shifted toward the east-southeast axis. New roads and shopping centers popped up in places once considered low potential, while investment in the north and west areas was held back for no clear reason. Number 14. The island where giving birth is forbidden. The edge of Fonseca Bay, where El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua share deep blue waters, lies a tiny island called Manguera del Golfo. From afar, it looks like a forgotten Caribbean painting. A few dozen tin-roofed houses, wooden boats resting under coconut trees, and kids playing in the midday sun. But there's one thing that sets Manguera apart from anywhere else. You're not allowed to give birth on the island. There's no written law, no warning signs, no police, no decree. But everyone understands. If you're a pregnant woman and your due date is near, your family will immediately rent a boat to take you to the mainland, almost 30 kilometers across the sea, to a hospital in La Union or San Miguel. Why? Locals just shake their heads. Giving birth here opens a gate between two worlds. The child doesn't belong here, and disaster will follow. Elders say that whenever someone accidentally gives birth on the island, something bad soon happens. A storm hits, a fishing boat sinks, or a strange illness sweeps through the village. No one's ever proven it, but no one dares challenge it either. But looking deeper, it's not just superstition. It's smart survival disguised as belief. Manguera has no hospital, no OB/GYN, no emergency meds, no delivery room. Giving birth here is literally a gamble with death. Number 13. Schools ban left-handed writing. In the 21st century, when most countries accept diversity in education, some rural areas in El Salvador still see left-handed writing as a bad habit to fix. It sounds medieval, but in elementary schools in Chalatenango, Usulután, and parts of La Union, many left-handed kids are still forced to switch to their right hand using outdated methods. A 2018 report by Educo El Salvador noted that nearly 9% of rural elementary students had teachers intervene when they wrote with their left hand. At some schools, like Centro Escolar Caserío Las Lajas and Centro Escolar Cantón El Tablón, parents said kids were made to tie their left hand with fabric or had their pens taken away if they didn't switch. Traditional beliefs rooted in conservative Catholic communities see the left hand as the hand of Satan, a symbol of deviance and rebellion that must be corrected. Some older teachers trained in the old system still quietly enforce these rules, even though the Ministry of Education says every student's biological traits must be respected. The government issued Directive 37/2009, strictly banning any form of forcing students to change their natural writing hand, calling it a violation of the right to natural development. But loose oversight in remote areas, a shortage of young teachers, and old-school thinking mean these practices still exist as a collective secret. Number 12. Is El Salvador really dangerous? For years, El Salvador was known internationally as one of the world's most dangerous places, with names like MS-13 and Barrio 18 becoming global symbols. There was a time when nearly 15 violent incidents happened daily, and small towns lived under gang rule. But in just the last 2 to 3 years, things changed dramatically. Under President Nayib Bukele, the government launched a crackdown described in 2 words: iron fist. Emergency laws were extended over 30 times. More than 85,000 people were arrested. The mega prison Sikat was built as a fortress, and the military was allowed to patrol the streets like police. The result? The homicide rate dropped from 36 per 100,000 people to under 2. That's lower than many U.S. states. Areas like El Tunco, Santa Ana, and downtown San Salvador are now packed with armed police day and night, and many international visitors describe it as the safest Central American country they've ever visited. For Salvadorans, it's a clear but painful trade-off. On one hand, they feel safe walking home at night. On the other, they avoid asking too many questions, since openly doubting the government can quickly lead to tension. No matter what, one thing's undeniable. El Salvador is changing every day. Life here moves slowly. People are incredibly kind and welcoming. You can sit by the roadside eating pupusas, chat with a bus driver, and feel a warmth you'd never expect from a place once called the most dangerous in the Americas. Number 11. Pop-up markets everywhere. In El Salvador, you don't have to go to the market comes to you. From before sunrise until late at night, street vendors weave through every street, beach, bus station, or neighborhood entrance, turning every sidewalk and intersection into a lively, colorful, and surprising mobile market. You might be strolling in La Libertad and suddenly hear a shout from afar, "Pupusa caliente!" as a woman pushes a small wooden cart closer, with a smoky charcoal stove and a sizzling corn batter pan. In big cities like San Salvador or Santa Tecla, these signless markets even have their own schedules. Mornings are for bread and strong black coffee. Lunchtime brings soup and boxed rice, and evenings are bright with grilled corn, iced milk, and fresh-cut fruit. Still, amid this charming chaos, foreigners should be a bit cautious. Local guides always remind, in El Salvador, smells good doesn't mean clean, hot doesn't always mean fully cooked, and cold ice isn't always safe. Many travelers say, pick food cooked right in front of you, steaming hot, or fruit you can peel yourself, like mangoes, bananas, or fresh pineapple. Number 10. Weapons are banned for foreigners, but still sold everywhere. El Salvador, once called the world's most dangerous country without war, has some of the strictest gun control laws in Latin America. By law, foreign visitors, even with gun permits from their home country, are absolutely not allowed to bring weapons into El Salvador. No exceptions. If you're caught, you could be arrested at the airport or worse. But here's the twist. The law says one thing. Reality is almost satirical. Walk into some convenience stores, big supermarkets, or suburban malls in places like Soyapango or Santa Ana, and you'll see weapons for sale out in the open. From dangerous firearms to pocket knives, pepper spray, even body armor, right next to the soda and toothpaste aisles. Why the contradiction? Local citizens, especially small business owners, long-haul truck drivers and farm owners, can buy weapons if they have a psychological certificate, security registration, and pass a background check. The catch: El Salvador's permit system is strict but not transparent, so people with money or connections can buy, while foreigners, even with international permits, are seen as a potential threat. Number 9. Salvadoran men can't live without cologne. If you thought cologne was just for women or only for dates and parties, El Salvador will change your mind. In this small Central American country, men spray on cologne as a daily essential. Even if they're just heading to the corner store for eggs or a local pupusa shop, Salvadoran men might spray cologne 2 and 3 times. Behind the ears, on the chest, and one last spritz to ward off bad energy on the back of the neck. Not everyone has a car. but everyone has a small bottle of cologne in their shirt pocket or motorcycle glove box. According to a 2022 cosmetics market report, El Salvador ranks in the top 3 Latin American countries for men's cologne consumption, just behind Brazil and Colombia. Most buyers here don't go for fancy French brands, but prefer local market scents or cheap U.S. dupes, strong and loud, just the way locals like it. The most popular scents: Aqua Sport, Fiero, Blue Rush, fresh, masculine, and smell like you've been working in the sun, but still fresh, as if you're in an air-conditioned gym. Some barbershops even offer a free full-body cologne spray after a haircut, so customers feel scent confident for their next appointment. Number 8. A mysterious mansion washed up on El Salvador's beach. Ever seen a house wash up on a beach? Not a boat or a container, but an abandoned concrete mansion teetering on the sand, with no windows, no finished roof, and no one knows where it came from. Yes, this is the long-standing mystery of La Puntilla, a remote beach in El Salvador. Locals say that one morning after the tide, the house just appeared, as if swept in from the ocean floor, with stained walls, strange graffiti, and untraceable paint marks. No one knows the owner, no one dares enter, and no one understands why it ended up right here. Everything changed when a local TikToker named Cholopanza Vlogs posted a video exploring the ghost house. The video showed seawater up to the knees, ceiling chunks falling, and walls blackened as if burned. The clip went viral, and suddenly thousands of tourists flocked to check in with the curse. However, according to La Prensa Gráfica, this ghost mansion was actually once Hotel Puerto Ventura, built over 28 years ago. The developer insisted on building right on the beach for $1 million view, ignoring local warnings. It's unclear whether it was destroyed by the devastating Hurricane Mitch in 1998 or just abandoned as a failed project. But one thing's certain, the house now looks like a stranded ghost ship. Local fishermen aren't so romantic. They say, the government banned building too close to the sea, but they were stubborn. Now that's the consequence. The house is now submerged every high tide, only accessible in the early morning. When the tide comes in, it looks like a half-sunken structure in a salty natural pool. A scene both beautiful and eerie. Number 7. The only country in Central America without railways. El Salvador is the only country in Central America with no active railway system. While neighbors like Guatemala and Honduras kept at least one train line since colonial times, El Salvador froze its entire rail network in 2002, with no official plans to rebuild. So how do people get around? The answer? Brightly painted buses called the Sun Trains of Central America. Welcome to the world of camionetas, or chicken buses. Public buses converted from old American school buses, painted in wild colors like moving murals. Each bus is a work of art. The front might have the Virgin Mary, the back a soccer team logo, the side red flames or angels with crosses. Inside, you'll see drivers blasting salsa music, rosaries hanging from the mirror, and mini battery fans by the steering wheel. The fare? It's barely changed in decades. About $0 to $5.35 per ride, making it the backbone of working-class transportation. But don't expect peace and quiet. Get ready for constant horn honking, and you'll probably have to jump on before the bus fully stops. Number 6. The first country to recognize Bitcoin as legal currency. In 2021, the financial world was stunned when El Salvador declared Bitcoin legal tender, equal to the US dollar. From a country known for gang violence and coffee exports, El Salvador suddenly leapfrogged onto the digital tech map, becoming a hotspot for crypto investors and travelers with cold wallets. President Nayib Bukele, nicknamed the digital player by locals, not only passed the law, but also launched a national e-wallet called Chivo. Every citizen who registered got $30 in BTC to start. The government even installed hundreds of Bitcoin ATMs everywhere, from supermarkets and post offices to stadiums. But reality didn't live up to the hype. By late 2022, only about 14% of businesses actually accepted Bitcoin. And most people, especially in rural areas, cashed out their BTC for dollars as soon as possible. Why? too complicated, too unstable. In daily life, the US dollar is still king, from coconut water on the beach to long-distance bus fares. And remember, street markets, pupusa shops, and convenience stores all use cash, sometimes even refusing large bills like 50s or 100s. Number 5. Criminals could pause jail time by joining a monastery. In the early 1990s, El Salvador's prisons were severely overcrowded. Then came a humane yet bizarre idea. If you committed a minor crime and showed remorse, you could go to a monastery instead of jail. You heard right. Instead of sitting in a damp cell, some minor offenders, like petty thieves or brawlers, were allowed by local courts to switch to temporary monastic life. Legally, their sentences weren't erased, but suspended if they agreed to live in a monastery for at least a year. Monasteries became low-budget resorts for minor criminals, where you just did odd jobs, tended the garden, read the Bible, and in exchange got 3 free meals, hot water for showers, and no one asked about your past. Compared to many Salvadoran prisons at the time, with no beds, no toilets, sometimes no light, a rural monastery was truly heaven. Though the monastery instead of jail program only lasted a few years before being scrapped after scandals, locals still recall it as a naive but memorable chapter in the country's legal history. Number 4. Tap water taboo. In El Salvador, pouring someone a glass of unfiltered tap water, even at a family meal, can be seen as a subtle insult. In a country where over 90% of surface water is polluted by fertilizer, trash, and bacteria, drinking straight from the tap isn't just dangerous. It signals you don't care about others' health. Not just locals, but even long-term travelers avoid asking for ice at small restaurants or street stalls. Why? Most ice is made from untreated tap water, and you might win the lottery with a souvenir called traveler's diarrhea that lasts 3 days. But here's the twist. Salvadorans don't crave bottled water, but bagged water. Yes, in many traditional markets and bus stations, you'll see adults, kids, and drivers sipping from small plastic bags of purified water, biting a corner and sucking it like old-school soda. These bags, called agua en bolsa, cost just about $0.10 each. No straw, no plastic bottle. Finished? Toss it. It's convenient, but the downside is plastic trash piles up along roads, canals, and rice fields, a paradox where people avoid poisoning themselves but end up polluting their own water sources. Number 3. Don't leave your shoes at someone's door. If you're from the US, Canada, or Asia, taking off your shoes before entering someone's home is second nature, even a sign of respect. But in El Salvador, this clean gesture is actually a cultural taboo that foreigners often break. In many traditional Salvadoran communities, leaving shoes at someone's door is seen as a bad omen, almost like leaving behind negative energy or a curse for the homeowner. Folklore says what you bring from outside, dirt, bad luck, burdens, shouldn't settle at someone's doorstep. To them, the doorway is the boundary between the chaotic outside world and the sacred inside. Placing anything, especially dirty shoes, right at the threshold is a silent violation, a subtle but deep bad sign. Instead, Salvadorans usually enter with their shoes on, then change inside if needed, or ask the host first. Don't be surprised to see handwritten signs like "Please don't leave shoes outside" at the door. It's not just a reminder, it's a subtle boundary of respect. Number 2. People bathe in coffee. If you think coffee is just for drinking in the morning, El Salvador will surprise you. In this small Central American country, people don't just love coffee, they soak in it. In mountain towns like Concepcion de Ataco or Huayua, you'll find tiny local spas tucked in the hills, where guests bathe in wooden tubs filled with hot, strong, fragrant brewed coffee. Salvadorans believe the chlorogenic acids in coffee exfoliate, brighten skin, firm muscles, and boost your spirit. It's not just talk. They truly believe coffee can wash away fatigue. You'll see locals applying coffee grounds to their faces, hands, backs, not as a tourist gimmick, but as an almost traditional ritual. One spa owner told an American visitor, "If you're stressed, let coffee hug you, not just drink it. It understands you better than friends." It sounds poetic, but this is how they live. Here, coffee isn't just a drink, it's therapy, a symbol, a source of pride. Tip for travelers. If you visit El Salvador, don't just look for beaches or volcanoes. Try a small mountain spa where they play wind and rooster sounds instead of meditation music, and soak in a dark brown coffee bath. Breathe deep and feel the pulse of the whole country flowing around you. Number 1. English names were once banned. Here's a strange truth few have heard. In the 1970s, El Salvador quietly purged English, to the point where some places refused to issue birth certificates for kids with overly foreign-sounding names. If parents tried to register a child as Kevin, Ashley, or Jonathan, officials might frown and suggest switching to Spanish names like Jose, Maria, or Carmen. There was no written law banning English, but the No American Names rule became an unspoken policy in some areas, reflecting post-war xenophobia. It wasn't said aloud, but everyone knew. A kid named Brittany might grow up thinking she belonged in Hollywood, not San Salvador. Ironically, today El Salvador is full of American-sounding names. You'll meet Brandons, Wendy's, Derek's, even Yennifers. But in reality, most people still don't speak English. According to 2023 stats, only about 11% of Salvadorans can hold a basic conversation in English. And even in tourism, fluent English speakers are rare outside upscale hotels. If you come to El Salvador thinking, just speak English and they'll get it, you'll quickly find every conversation freezes if you don't know at least a little Spanish. We've just taken a tour through the quirky rules, strange taboos, and unbelievable laws of El Salvador. Which one shocked you the most? Have you ever accidentally broken a rule without knowing it? And if you love discovering weird cultures, unwritten rules, and unbelievable facts from around the world, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video.